Greetings, comrades, I'm Mr. Gantles, and today's gonna be a bit of a weird video. It's sort of doing a sorry, wait, it sounds funny in this. Anyway, so instead of doing a normal video, instead what I'm gonna be doing, as you may be wondering from the pictures here, is basically on one of my the groups that I moderate on Facebook. So there's a whole discussion about whether or not we should have clips and audio recordings from exorcisms allowed. So we decided eventually, yes, let's just put a warning in case. So what I have here is the audio recording of the Exorcism of Annaliese Michel, back from 1975. Now, this isn't the first exorcism I've seen or heard. The first one was on Netflix, the exorcism on the Devil and Father Amorth, which was done by the guy who directed The Exorcist. And he ended up being one of the first people to be allowed to have an official recording of an exorcism. And it scared me, that exorcism. It scared me for the rest of the day. I couldn't speak for the next 4 hours. Anyway, so apparently this thing's going to be scary too. I'm going to have the volume on low because this set of headphones is very loud. Don't want to go deaf. Obviously, there's a warning out there for you people. Exorcisms are not fun. This is going to be scary. This might be scary. Maybe not scary in the face, hopefully not. But it's probably going to have some maybe concerning noises and stuff of demons shouting and screaming. It's only 10 and a half minutes long, so I'm going to listen to it. But as your warning, guys, this doesn't work. This is the only headphones that really works here. So.
Rosenkranzmonat, weißt du ja, ne?
Ja,
Rosenkranz.
aber die wenigste beten.
Die wenigste.
Ja. Und in Kirche wird am allerwenigste gebeten, weil die Herr Pfarrer ja das für unmodern hat.
Ja.
Ja.
Alle?
Fast. Die sind ja so blöd, wenn sie eine Ahnung hätten. Ah!
Was tust du für die Rosenkranz?
Warum?
Ja, warum?
Weil eine... Nein, ich sag's nicht.
Ich wird diese Rede.
Weil eine starke... Halt's Maul! Ja!
Weil eine starke Waffe ist. Gegen Satan
Ja!
und alle Dämonen.
Ja, gegen uns! Was soll ich jetzt sagen?
Der Rosenkranz ist eine gewaltige Macht gegen
Ja!
Satan und alle Dämonen.
Aber das glauben nicht viele. Die halten es hier nur volles Weiberzeug. Zum Glück.
Wer ist da schuld daran?
Ja.
Ihr.
Ja.
Ja. Was Kostbares, der Rosenkranz. Kostbar. Rosenkranzmonat.
Das klingt bei Stellen nach nichts. Ihr müsst das Geld so schade für.
Dann kostet er was.
Bei dem schon.
Ja.
Gut Zeit oder auch Geld für.
Ach so. Die Arbeit.
Ja, die Arbeit geht natürlich vor. Aber die Drecksau, die beten ja immer. Das kann ihnen noch ihr Glück sein. Aber das Ding, das gäbe Sachen, wenn die Drecksau, das haben die ihnen eingepflanzt.
Du meinst die Heilige von Norman.
Ja.
Wollt ihr das nicht haben? Oder in die Hände gibt?
Das haben wir sehr gerne.
Sehr gerne.
Sehr sogar.
Ja.
Ja! Müssen Sie der Drecksau aus Westbusch kapiert? Aber das vor allem im Aufbau. muss wieder neu. Scheißding.
Kirchenwelt.
Ja.
Von mir.
Ja! Paradiese.
Noch mehr.
Ah! Die müssen als Priester erkennbar sein. Und zweimal kapiert.
Noch mehr.
Ja.
Noch mehr.
Heiraten dürfen sie auch nicht. Ein Auftrag von der. Ja!
Noch mehr sein.
Und in die kirchlichen Dienst dürfen sie auch nicht mehr eintreten, wenn sie das gemacht haben.
Warum nicht?
Darum. Und es muss gebetet werden. Warum?
Wo?
In den Kirchen. Und in den Familien. Und vor allem den Scheißen. Ja! Soll ich da schon nichts mehr, oder dass der Gift aufnimmt? Vergiss du der Sache wieder.
Noch mehr.
Nein! Ich bin Nero. Ich bin der Dritte im Bunde.
Noch mehr. Noch mehr.
Sie müssen mit in eine Scheißkassette. Und zwar mit allen zu dem Scheiß gelogen Würzbusch gehen.
Und dann?
Und dann? Dann muss er den Dreck bekannt geben.
Wie?
Wie? Was er soll er schneiden?
Vierten Wort? Priesterkonferenz. Und sozusagen ja. Priesterwelt.
So, dass an die meisten Leute rankommt. Kapiert?
Noch mehr.
Als Maul.
Noch mehr.
Wie soll er am Maul halten?
Noch mehr sagen.
Die Schwester müsse in ihre Ordenskleidung gehen.
Noch mehr.
Nein.
Noch mehr. Noch mehr.
Der Papst muss Gehorsam geleistet.
Noch mehr.
Der Gehirnanfahrer, die müssen wieder auf der Kanzel predigen, dass mich gibt. Und das Volk nicht entführen.
Das ist doch scheiße.
Ja! Voll bewusst gemacht werden.
Des Sohnes und des Heiligen Geistes. Amen.
Die holländischen Bischöfe sind Ketzer. Heretiker. So? Nicht lang, sie bald.
Nein, noch nicht.
Alles da, die Verfluchte.
Alles da. Im Namen Jesu und im Namen Maria
Sie
befehle
sind Papst untreu, die keine
ich dir, unreiner Geist, alles zu sagen und sagen, im Namen Jesu und im Namen Maria.
Seid alle wieder.
Dreifaltigkeit im Namen des Vaters, des Sohnes und des Heiligen Geistes. Amen. Du musst alles sagen, was du mir zu sagen hast. Im Namen des Vaters und des
Ich
Sohnes
sag
und
euch
des
nicht
Heiligen
alles.
Geistes. Amen. Die Mutter Gottes wird dich dazu zwingen. Im Namen Jesu und im Namen Maria, im Namen des Vaters und des Sohnes und des Heiligen Geistes. Amen. Im Namen
Das ist die Abtreibung.
des Sohnes und des Heiligen Geistes. Amen. Sage alles. Alles. Im Namen des Vaters und des Sohnes
Was ist?
und des Heiligen Geistes. Amen.
Und zwar, egal ab welchem Monat abgetrieben wird.
Vaters und des Sohnes und des Heiligen Geistes. Amen. Das wissen wir alle. Du hast noch nicht alles gesagt. Du musst jetzt alles sagen.
Und zwar, dass die Dinge, die Embryos, nicht zur Anschauung Gottes gelangen. So.
Sage die Wahrheit.
Ja! Weil sie nicht getauft sind.
Wo kommen die Embryos hin, die nicht getauft sind? Nicht in die Hölle.
Nein,
Wohin?
ja, die kommen auf.
Ja, wohin?
Dann auf.
Wohin denn?
Ja, das weiß, was kann ich nicht sagen.
In den Himmel.
Ja,
Also doch.
ja, aber nicht so.
Vater der Lüge, sage die Wahrheit. Im Namen des Vaters und des Sohnes und des Heiligen Geistes. Amen. Nicht zur Anschauung Gottes heißt.
Ja, ja.
Sind aber glücklich.
Glaubt doch niemand.
Wir können den nicht sehen.
Alter Maul.
Oh, that was certainly interesting. Yeah, thanks to the previous, my previous experience with the Exorcism when I watched it on Netflix, I know they usually when they make when it's like, you know what they call audio spikes, that's typically when they're violently thrashing or anything, which I think was a big thing that really got me when I did watch that Exorcism. I was sitting like, okay, I could hear this really creepy voice that definitely wasn't coming from that woman on the screen, but the whole thrashing, that was horrifying. So, not the worst I've heard, but it's weird. I feel like I've been speaking like that now. My throat. That was certainly something. So, according to this exorcism experience, even if it wasn't directly in this one, this whole set of exorcisms based around this woman, they taught us a whole bunch of stuff. There's a whole list here. They taught us: 1, priests should be recognizable as priests. Makes sense. 2, we must go to confession regularly. It exists for a reason. 3, the devil loves those who don't go to confession. Makes sense. They don't admit their wrongdoing. They stay in the wrong. I mean, of course, you could just say, "Oh, well, I can confess to God," and I'll cover that another time. But okay. Technically, you're right. But the sacrament of confession exists for a reason. 4, none should wear the habit. Makes sense. 5, the Virgin Mary steals many souls from the devil's grasp. 6, the gates of hell will never prevail over the Catholic Church, as all the heretics and schisms and splits and all the churches out there have proven. We remain strong. 7, the clergy must be obedient to the Pope, and bishops will know what they do if they listen to the Pope. Yeah, okay, because if the Pope is meant to be God's chosen authority over the Church on earth, then we should listen to him. Really, if it doesn't contradict spiritual doctrines. And according to one of these interviews during one of these exorcisms, it speaks about how there are loads of priests and bishops in hell who did not listen to the Pope and the warnings. 8, when judgment comes, it will be worse than the last 2. When judgment day comes. What 2 could those be then? It was persecution under Nero? And then the ongoing persecutions between the first heretics to now? No. Noah's flood counts as a judgment. I don't know. The point is, apparently there's been 2 massive judgments. What's following is even worse. And if it's worse than Noah's flood, then it's definitely going to be bad. 9, if the rituals prayed daily by everyone, it would be the demon's end. Well, I try to pray it daily. So yeah, trying to live up, actually following the rules. Democracy is not a good thing in the church. It gives the devil more power in the church. I can understand that, what they say. I mean, let's say you have a whole bunch. Let's say you have like 50 heretics versus 20 people who actually follow doctrine. Then obviously that's going to damage the church. When it gets to doctrine, when it gets to democracy in the church, I don't think it's when they're referring to a papal conclave. I think they talk about if it ever came to a matter of democracy for morality issues, when it came to spiritual doctrine, in which the Pope is a final authority on it on earth. So it kind of makes sense. 11. Parish councils are not reliable. Priests have to act according to their own conscience. Which does make sense, because parish councils are the lay people. They're us. Whereas a priest has a spiritual authority. They've studied a huge amount of their lives for this. They have a better idea than we do. 12. The devil hates humanity, and he calls us dirty pigs, apparently. Well, okay, fair enough. I understand why I'd say that. 13. Guardian angels exist. Some people have more than one. For example, a priest has an extra guardian angel for their ministry. That sort of makes sense. I mean, I know that all people are born with all people from the moment of conception have guardian angels. One for their ministry. Some people have more than one. Okay, I can understand that too. But like priests having one extra one for the ministry, that does make sense. You have one guardian angel praying for the security of the priest, and another one praying for their successful ministry. So I wonder how many guardian angels the Pope must have then. 14. The demons that possessed Annaliese were Nero, Judas, Hitler, Lucifer, Cain, and Ahab. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that it was these people who were possessing her. It could just be that these demons took on the names of those individuals in hell. That is why that they use those names. The way I understand it is that, and there's a whole thing about it in the past. People for a short period of time in the last century, they would give their guardian angels names, and that was heretical because we don't have the authority to give them their names. We've always seen names from God. Whether the fact they haven't revealed those names to us, that's because it's not meant to, and so we're not meant to name them. Every angel has a name. For instance, Satan was known as Lucifer. When he rebelled and became his perverted self, he came up with the new name Satan, or the Accuser, and he had a whole bunch of other names. But the point is, these aren't the actual Nero, Judas, Hitler, Cain, and Ahab speaking. It's just demons who have taken their names. After rejecting their names that God gave them, they took on these perverted names to symbolize their perverted nature. 15. People must pray to angels and their guardian angel more because hell has so much power in the world. People need to beg the guardian angels to help. Obviously, this doesn't mean that we treat the angels as the divine. It means that we just need to ask them for their help. Same as how I could ask you to pray for me, and I'll pray for you. That's what they're basically trying to say here. So pray for the angels to help you and stuff. I mean, I do that. I pray for my guardian angels to help me a lot. He certainly has helped me. I'll say that. Holy crucifixes and holy water should be in all homes. Well, I've got a whole collection of rosaries. This is my one. I mean, the last one I had broke because I used it too much. So I've got this lovely rosary here I got off Amazon. I've got a thing of holy water here. I tried to draw the St. Benedict cross in there, but this is all holy water. See? I got it several months ago before the lockdown started. Oof. Good old days when I could go to Mass in person. So I've got to find a crucifix now. 17. Lucifer mocked Judas about how he refused forgiveness from Jesus, and he called him Lucifer called him stupid, filthy pig. Savior always forgives. And he laughs. That does make sense. That's the fundamental reason. Like, I think it was on this same group too. There was a period of time where people were discussing: is Judas in hell? Is it wrong to condemn him and say he is in hell? And the reason why is because they say you shouldn't. Judging, fine. Condemning, you shouldn't. However, for that we need to look at his actions, and the Bible does a very good description of that. Now, the way we can do this way. Both Judas and Peter betrayed Jesus. One betrayed Jesus to the Roman authorities and the priests and the Pharisees, who ended up beating him leading to his passion. And the other betrayed Jesus by not sticking up for him and admitting that he was his follower. Judas and Peter, respectively. However, Peter repented. Peter wept for having betrayed Jesus when he heard the cock crow cock crow in the morning, and then when he met Jesus again, Jesus asked him, "Peter, do you love me?" Jesus said, Peter said yes, and then Jesus told him a command to do for his church. And then he repeated the question again, so he did it 3 times, basically showing that Peter had authority over the disciples, and that is an undebatable fact right there. The sheer amount of times Peter is mentioned and takes charge of the disciples more than anyone else is a fact there. Anyway, point is, what happened there was Peter repented for his sins. However, what Judas did was that after Jesus was crucified, he ran to the Pharisees and said, "I betrayed an innocent man," and he tried to give back the money, but he couldn't. And so he then left, and he then left the temple, and he went and killed himself. Depending on how you read it, he hung himself or he slit his insides open. From that, what we can see is that he committed suicide instead of repenting. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean suicide leads to damnation in hell. Okay, I'll cover that another time. What's going on here is that Peter repented for his sins. Judas didn't. Judas, after he didn't repent, he said, "I've killed an innocent man," and then he killed himself from grief. That is why he is in hell. So him saying that, okay, well, Judas is in hell, that does make sense. I mean, sure, we have to be careful when he does talk about whether or not people are in hell, because it could just be them lying, but it's a recognized fact that Judas is in hell. We can see that from his actions leading up to his death, which showed the state of his heart and mind, and his soul, which was in a state of mortal sin. Mortal sin equals hell. Now, 18, a slightly controversial point, talks about the basically when basically says Satan here apparently refers to the mother of God's writings, and how they wouldn't anyone let anyone know about it. Shortly after this came the Medjugorje apparitions, which I can cover in a whole other episode. So people are not sure if it refers to that, or if it refers to maybe just Mary's apparitions in general. But Mary has helped a lot of people, I'll say that. Our Lady of Guadalupe, Our Lady of Fatima, Our Lady of Wallingham, I believe, yeah. The point is a whole bunch of apparitions. Maybe it could just be that they don't want... So it could just be that the demons are trying to prevent people from seeing these Mary apparitions. The Medjugorje one's a bit questionable, honestly. 19. Demons cannot approach or torment a soul in purgatory. That does make sense, because when you're in purgatory, you've already, in a sense, achieved heaven. You're just not clean enough to go there, right? So you've earned your way there, but you first need to wash off all the filth and stuff of this earth. So technically, you're in like the pre-heaven stage. So you could be in purgatory for hundreds of years, but if you're in purgatory, you're definitely going to go to heaven. It's just going to take a little bit longer to get there. So, understanding they cannot torment a soul in purgatory, that does make sense, because they're beyond the world, they're beyond demons' reach. 20. Annaliese apparently had a vision of the Blessed Virgin Mary at some point in time, and in which she asked her if she wanted to suffer for the salvation of souls, and was given 3 days to make up her mind, and Annaliese agreed to the suffering and was eventually killed during these exorcisms. This is a bit debatable, because after this incident, Annaliese did die from these exorcisms after like 75 apparent exorcism attempts, and then the priest and the parents and maybe I think it was another helper, they were arrested and sent to 6 months in jail, and later resentenced to 3 years probationary. So depending on how we take Annaliese's words here, and obviously again, a lot of people may say, "Oh, well, this is an example of the Roman Catholics just killing people through exorcisms." And to that, it's not necessarily the case. Not all exorcisms go well. But if we take this as genuine, this part, then when we say, okay, well, maybe Annaliese becomes a saint in future. I don't know. What we've seen here, though, is that maybe it seemed like she gave herself up, saying, okay, I know I'm not going to get out of this, but I'm going to let these exorcisms continue to get information out of me. Because all this information that has come through, it matches her church doctrine. It supports it. So, whilst I'd say it's a real shame that Annaliese did die, if what she had here about this vision of her accepting her fate is genuine, then she's an absolutely brave and admirable woman there. Admirable woman there for just sacrificing herself so that you could get these messages across. The 21st point. 21st point. The Pope must be respected. And that does make sense. Again, it was the lack of respect for the Pope really that led to all these schisms opening up. I can go into a series of episodes about that and refuting heresies, but that's for another time. So, the point about this is that I've gone to the end of these. Apparently, the points come out from this exorcism. Point is, the exorcism of Annaliese Michel. Poor girl. She died young, only at the age of 23 after 10 months of exorcisms. Died of apparent malnutrition. She believed she was atoning for the sins of the world in the process. Her exorcism revealed a whole lot of information that supports church teachings. Not the scariest exorcism I've heard, and I've seen, there's only 2, but it's unsettling for those who haven't seen it yet, which is why there was a warning in this post. So, a lot of information came out of this, good, important information that can help us. So, from what I've seen, I guess I'm going to go on a limb here. Looking at what Annaliese went through, and if this vision of the Virgin Mary was true, it sounds like she may not be in hell in the process. She may be in purgatory. Typically, when it comes to visions like this, and they're genuine visions, when it's this, everything that's come out of this exorcism matches church doctrine, which is evidence that it's true. So if we accept that as a fact and just say, okay, well, she's had this apparent vision of the Virgin Mary, that must mean, okay, just seeing the validity of everything else, maybe that's true too. Seeing her actions and state of mind after this, it doesn't seem like she would go to hell for this. I mean, I could be wrong. I admit that I could be wrong. So she might be purgatory, just further repenting or something. Or, I don't know, wherever she is, I pray for her. I pray for you, Annaliese, wherever you are. Brave woman. Unfortunate incident, what happened to her. We got a lot of information out of it. Maybe she's happy that even if it came at the expense of her life, she got information out of it. I mean, if I was undergoing exorcisms and I was going to die, I would make sure that I would say, okay, get whatever piece of information you can get out of this demon before I die. That's what I would do. Because if I die, at least it helps someone. It helps, gives you information. Yeah, so that's the end of this video. That was the short version of the Exorcism of Annaliese Michel, and a little bit of a list of information these exorcisms gave us, and my take on apparently what happened to after death. If you like this video, please give it a like. Please share my videos. Please comment if you think any other videos you want me to do. Please subscribe to my channel so you can see more of this content. Please ring the bell so you can. It's like I'm trying to do is really fast. So please ring the bell to keep updated with my video releases. And next episode, maybe you guys can point me to another exorcism I can watch, see if there's any information that I can glean from it, shed some light on. That's for another video. So see you next video, comrades. Until then.